You ever have one of those mornings that flips your whole world upside down before you've even had your first cup of coffee? That's exactly what happened to me, or I should say, to the person at the heart of this story, someone I'll call Judge Camille Hayes. Let me paint the scene for you. 7:42 a.m., a Monday that should have been ordinary, quiet, the kind of day you expect nothing more dramatic than a broken shoelace or a late train. Camille stepped outside her building, her mind already running through the docket, and just stopped dead in her tracks. Her car, her trusty blue sedan she's had since law school, looked like it had gone a few rounds with a sledgehammer. Windows smashed, tires flattened, hood beaten in, and right there, under the wiper, a note flapping in the early breeze. Stay silent, or next time it's not just the Sayar. Thick black marker, all caps, angry and ugly, like the handwriting itself was spitting at her. Now, Camille's not the kind of person to scare easy. Youngest federal judge in her state's history, sharp as they come, tough but fair, the kind who listens more than she talks. She's earned her place, but let's be real, there are folks who still can't stand seeing a black woman holding the gavel, making the big calls. Folks like Officer Brent Turner. Brent's one of those guys who walks around like the law is just a tool for whatever mood he's in. Built his whole career on intimidation, bogus charges, always making sure people knew who was boss. Didn't matter if you were innocent. If Brent decided you were in his way, you'd find out real quick how much trouble he could cause. A couple weeks before the car got wrecked, Camille tossed out one of Brent's cassettes, a Latino college kid, charged with loitering. She'd seen the footage herself. The kid was just waiting for a friend, not bothering anyone. Brent arrested him anyway, claimed he was acting suspicious. Camille wasn't having it. She called it what it was: racial profiling, plain and simple, right there in her ruling. That same afternoon, Brent caught up to her outside the courtroom, got right up in her face, and said, "Don't think that robe makes you untouchable. Watch your step, Judge." You know what I mean? That kind of threat that sticks to your ribs long after you walk away. She shrugged it off. At first, judges get flack. That's part of the job, she told herself. But after that note, she knew this was different. Most people would have called the police right away, but Camille didn't even reach for her phone. Instead, she went back inside, her hands steady even though her heart was pounding, and called the one person who knew exactly what to do: her old friend Rachel Lee from law school, now a top investigator at the Justice Department's Office of Internal Affairs. Rachel's the kind of woman who's seen it all and keeps a poker face through the worst of it. She showed up at Camille's building before noon, took one look at the wreck, read the note, and just said, "We're going to nail this guy." They set up everything: hidden cameras by the entrance, discreet microphones in Camille's office, even gave her a new phone rig to record at the tap of a button. It felt weird, like something out of a crime show, but Rachel said, "Trust me, he'll slip up again. Guys like Brent always do." Sure enough, that Friday afternoon, Camille found a second note, this time slipped under her office door. "Drop the Jenkins case, or I'll drag your brother's past all over the news." Her stomach turned. Her younger brother, Terrence, made one dumb mistake in college, arrested at a protest, record sealed years ago, never hurt a soul. The fact that Brent had even found out meant he'd crossed a line nobody had ever dared before. That's when Camille knew she had to play this out smart. She replied from an anonymous number, pretending to be scared, telling Brent she wanted to work things out in person. They agreed to meet late at night, behind a half-abandoned warehouse on the edge of town. Camille pulled up, nerves on fire but face cool as ice, wired with a mic. Every word piped straight to Rachel and two DOJ agents parked nearby in a dusty gray van. Brent rolled up like he owned the place, plain clothes, cap pulled low, sunglasses even though it was almost dark. He swaggered over, leaned in real close, and said, "You know how this works. You play ball, or your career's over." Simple. He had no idea that every syllable was being recorded, that his own threats would be played back to a jury before the month was out. Just as he finished, the van's doors flew open. Agents poured out Rachel in front, badge flashing, shouting, "Federal agents, hands up!" Brent froze, shock all over his face, and tried to bolt, but he was on the ground in seconds, cuffed before he could even curse. At the station, they laid out everything: audio, video, fingerprints on both notes, a perfect trail right back to him. And as they dug deeper, they found a pattern. Brent had been running these intimidation games for years, targeting anyone he thought wouldn't fight back. He'd nearly ruined lives, wrecked families, but he'd never gone after someone like Camille before. The trial came quick. Camille wasn't just a witness, she was the one who brought it all out in the open. The courtroom was packed. News cameras, reporters, local activists, everyone watching every move. Brent sat there in a cheap gray suit, head down, eyes flicking everywhere but at Camille. The charges were heavy: tampering with a federal officer, criminal destruction, blackmail, and making terroristic threats. The judge, this time, was a black man, someone Brent had once laughed at in the hallway. The irony was thick. 20 years, no parole, and when the sentence landed, the whole room seemed to exhale at once. But let me back up a sec. There's something nobody expected. A week after the verdict, Camille got a letter in her mailbox. Not a threat, nothing like that. Just a handwritten thank you from another judge, anonymous, who'd faced Brent's intimidation and never had the power to stop him. That letter turned into 3 more. People started talking, stories bubbled up, and suddenly the department had to launch a full-scale investigation. Turns out, Brent wasn't the only one. Within months, 6 officers were out, cases reopened, and for once, the community felt like maybe, just maybe, the system was waking up. The last image I'll give you is this: Camille, robe on, walking out of the courthouse as the sun goes down, not just relieved but proud. She looks out over the city and knows that what happened wasn't just about her car or even about Brent Turner. It was about every time someone in power tried to silence the truth and lost. So here's my question for you. When justice comes with a price, when standing up means making yourself a target, do you step forward or step back? Would you take that risk? Where's your line between self-preservation and doing what's right? Drop your thoughts below. Let's have a real conversation about courage, power, and what it really takes to make things change. Because sometimes the only way to break the cycle is to call it out for what it is and stand tall, no matter who's watching.